Like
I'll go through the
say,
whole thing again if you want me to do it.
talk to me about the PML aspect and the PMP aspect and them inserting
Okay.
themselves into the LLC and prepayment penalties, that section.
Okay. So you're buying a property and you're buying it through a DSCR in this example, just so that we're on the same base, right? And a DSCR normally is a 30-year note, right? So normally. Now, you can do a 5-year note, you can do a 7-year note. We're not going to get into the confusing parts. So for this example, it's a 30-year note. Cool? Making sure we understand the basics. Most DSCR loans have what they call a prepayment penalty because the lender makes most of their money on the interest rate the first couple of years, right? Because you borrow the most up front. As you're paying down the principal, you're borrowing less and less. The percentage stays the same, but the amount borrowed is less. You understand that, right?
Yep.
That's why many people are like, oh, well, you pay more interest in the beginning. Yeah, because you borrowed more in the beginning. As you're paying down the principal, you're borrowing less, so you pay less. Okay. So they normally have a 5-year prepayment penalty. And a 5-year prepayment penalty means that you're going to pay a certain percentage if you refi and or sell this property within the first 5 years. You understand that?
Yep.
Now, for simplicity's sake, because yes, there's other ways of doing this, we're going to say it's a 5-5-5-5-5, which means for 5 years, you will pay 5% if you refi in the first 5 years. Every year, it's the same percentage, 5-5-5-5-5. That's why it's called a 5-5-5-5-5. First 5 years, 5% each year. You understand that?
Yep.
Okay. So if you bring in a private money lender, they tend to want to be out in 3, 6,
Get that, yeah.
12 months. They want to be out within the year generally. Yes, there's lenders that'll go 3 years. I'm talking general terms. They want to be out in the first year, normally. Okay? So you have to pay them their money plus their percentage in the first year. That makes sense?
Right.
Okay. If you borrow half of the 50, which is 25,000, just so that we're on the same page all the way across, and they want to be out within the first year, they want their money back within the first year, right? Except this is a long-term loan. If you have a prepayment penalty, how do you pay them back without refining? Because if you refi, you're going to pay 5% on the entire loan.
Okay, got it.
To the current lender when you refi to a new lender. Even if in a year, even if, the likelihood it won't, but even if you jump by 30% in valuation and were able to refi out that down payment, right? Even if that were to happen and or you bought it so cheap that you could refi out that down payment, because now 6 months later you can use the as is value, and the as is, you bought it for 250 but it's worth 500,000. I'm making a number up, right? Now 75% of the 500,000 is above the 250. You can refi. Great. The problem is you're going to pay 5% on the 250. If you have it, cool. Just understand that that's going to be a problem. If you're okay with paying 5%, then refi the thing. I don't care. Like, as long as you understand that it's going to be a ding. You're going to pay the loan back on the refi plus 5% because you refied within the first 5 years.
Gotcha. I'm following you.
That all makes sense?
Yeah.
So then the question is, if you don't want to refi, because most don't, that's why the prepayment penalty is in place, because they want it to hurt to let you stay in.
Obviously.
Right? Right.
Yeah.
So now I have money I have to pay back because he wants out in a year. right? It's been 6 months or a year. I don't want to refi. How do I give him this money back? That's a question that the lender is going to ask, the private money lender. So that's where that whole thing is. You understand all that, or do you need me to break it down some more?
I got it.
Yeah.
Right. So
Yeah,
now
that's
the
it perfectly.
the PMP is a long-term lender. He's a partner.
Right.
He understands his money's stuck. But now he's going to want percentage of cash flow, because that's how he makes his money until you refi in 5 years or 3 years or whatever.
Got it.
He knows his money's stuck. There's 25,000 stuck for the next 5 years because we don't want to refi because you don't have the growth in value and or you don't want to pay the 5%. Cool. My money's stuck for 5 years. Great. How much of the cash flow am I taking for having my money stuck? And then on the refi, when I do get paid out, am I going to get a percentage above what I gave you? Because that's normally what they're asking for. They're asking for a percentage of cash flow to keep my money there, and then a growth on my cash when you refi out. What they call a kicker. And that's the difference between simplicity-wise between PMPs and PMLs. PMPs, private money partners, they're perfectly okay with long-term payment, right? They can stay for a while. Private money lenders want to stay typically shorter term, 2 years or less, a year or less.
Gotcha.